Some people just love to hate, don't they? And it's always people who have the least knowledge that scream the most. Well, that's the Dunning-Kruger effect, isn't it? Andreas here just doesn't know when to quit. I've just dismantled his last comment. I mean, I'm here to help people learn Sumerian, but when someone comes at me and says such idiotic things and calls me out, I have to address it. So let's just do the morphological analysis of this and explain it in depth, shall we? So what is this? This is an adaptation of Newton's quote, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." However, I'm going to somewhat idiomatically convey this by saying, if it is that my eyes are great, it is because of standing upon the shoulders of the towering great ones. That's what it says directly here. If you're a beginner and you look at this and you don't understand it, don't let your arrogance get the better of you. Sumerian is a very complex language and it takes years to learn it. To be honest, these two I think are just trolls, but I'm going to address it anyway because I like addressing things like this because it keeps things fresh in my mind, which for an extinct language, you take all the opportunity you can get to keep it fresh in the mind. Anyway, this is a complex clause, a conditional complex clause, and the first part, the conditional part, is actually the easy part. So let's do that first. So, tukumbi, iginyu galam. Tukumbi is a subordinating conditional conjunction. Here, we're going to translate that as if. This, tukumbi, is also what's called in Sumerian grammar a diri compound. This is when two or more logographic signs come together to form a completely new word. In this case, the subordinating conditional conjunction translated as if. And then next we have igi newten, which is I plus the first person possessive newten, which means my I, but this is pluralized with implication, so it's my eyes. I have already shown a real world example of this in the last video. And then the last part, galam, is copula. There is a slight transliteration error there actually. I should have put gal la 2 am 3. It's not gal la am 3, it is gal la 2 am 3. So this reads, if my eyes are great, or if it is that my eyes are great. So the second half of this clause is the difficult part. But before I move on to that, let's just address this from Andreas, suggesting that I changed multiple times what it means. Andreas, this just highlights your ignorance even more. No, I didn't give a different translation. I gave an alternate way to convey the clause. There's a difference. Or, more specifically, I gave an alternate way to convey the conditional part of the clause, which is the first part. This, Andreas, is not a different translation. This is a completely different way to convey the clause. Any and all languages with a grammatical system can semantically convey one idea in multiple ways. Sumerian is no different. Here, I have changed the conditional part of the clause to directly translate as, if my eyes to the distance rise. I mean, to be honest, that's the harder of the two grammatically. The former should have been easier for you to comprehend. Anyway, back to the difficult part. You, Andreas, and Singh, whatever your name was, should probably just turn off here now. You're not going to understand. But anybody else that has an interest in Sumerian grammatical rules, stick around. This gets deep. So first of all, we're looking at Mergue. And also remember that Sumerian abides by a subject, object, verb, word order. And what we're looking at is a complex clause. So anyway, Mergue, Mergu 2. This means shoulders. The a attached is marking shoulders in the directive case, stating upon the shoulders. However, phonetically, the directive case, a here, will contract with the previous vowel of mergu. The e contracts with the u, or the e is dropped or is swallowed by the open-ended syllable. However, the semantics of the directive case hold strong. So it's saying upon the shoulders. Now, Uru Gagalaka. So Sumerian doesn't have a direct word for giant. So here the head noun is U18 Ru, which is translated as giant or to be towering. However, this is obviously modified quite a bit. Let's go into that. So first we have Uru, which is the head noun, which means to be towering, followed by Gal, which means great, reduplicated, which is indicating plurality, followed by the nominalizer, nominalizing the verb, obviously. After that we have A, this is the genitive, denoting possession, upon the shoulders of is the genitive, upon the shoulders of, and the locative on the end is reinforcing the idea of where the action is taking place, or where the nominalized action is taking place, which is reinforcing in a indirect agreement pattern with the directive case, stating it's upon the shoulders of giants, or upon the shoulders of the great towering ones. Now, I imagine Andreas and Sinja, whatever your name was, I imagine this is going way over your head, but that's not my problem. Okay, so moving on to the last agglutinated word. Now, this is another nominalized verb, and because this is the main action of the clause, and it's a subject, object, verb, word order, this is why it comes at the end. And here is where English and Sumerian grammar diverges dramatically. So this is probably going to be the hardest part for you two to understand. So straight away we have gub. This is the verbal root, meaning to stand, but it's nominalized, which is followed by the nominalizer a, which changes it from stand to standing, followed by the genitive, denoting possession, which means of, followed by the subordinating conjunction in an agreement pattern with tecumbe, if, which we saw earlier in the clause, and then it's followed by the inclitic copula, it is. So altogether it is stating it is because of standing. It is because of standing upon the shoulders of giants. The sequence kesham is very similar to the interrogative pronoun nasham, which means directly it is for what, or why, or because of. So this absolutely reads, if it is that my eyes are great, it is because of standing upon the shoulders of the towering great ones, or giants. So a final note, if you don't know Sumerian, don't pretend that you do. It's not clever, it's not cool, because if you say that shit to somebody like me who does know Sumerian well enough to know you're full of shit, you're going to be exposed, as I've evidently demonstrated here.